A debate that has been going on for thousands of years is what counts as art. There's no true definition of what art is. For example, people don't know what Jackson Pollock's or even Andy Warhol's at the time's art counted as art. But now we look at it, and we do. So, what counts as art? We will be discussing that throughout this video. There are many forms of art in our world today. A major question I have is if album covers could count as a form of art, maybe even on the same level to be hanging in a museum. So, how could we determine and define album covers as art? As a college student who is studying and majoring in the art department, I've taken countless amount of art classes, from studying pieces of Da Vinci to design theory and more. As I study more and more, I realize a recurring pattern as what can count as art. Elements is one of these recurring patterns. Things like size, color, type, they're all just a few elements that are used in album covers all the time. There are millions of album covers made. Some use just photography to capture the artist. Some use illustrations to make a fantasy. While graphic design sometimes is a little bit of everything. Although the public may not view album covers to be worthy to hang on a wall of a museum, famous artists certainly do. People like Banksy, Andy Warhol, and Jeff Koons all were involved in creating album covers. Even though they don't hang up in a museum, they don't think they're any lesser. They still view them as a form of art. One aspect of album covers getting recognition is that the Grammys award the best record packaging. A way for me to see the impact that album covers has on society is that I decided to take 3 different generations and quiz them on album covers.
I don't think it necessarily has to be like a painting or anything. Mm-hmm. Like it could be like a picture and that's like considered art. Mm-hmm. So yeah, album covers could be art.
When I was in art history, they always told us that it's just like whatever the artist deems art is art. So like a fork could be art. Mm-hmm. Anything can be art, in my opinion.
Something that creates a feeling in somebody, you know, and you know, by the visual that you're looking at.
I think anything made by a person or designed by a person or a group of people would be considered art.
The Beatles.
Beatles?
I know that's the Beatles.
Oh wait, Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse?
Amy Winehouse.
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd.
Classic. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon.
Pink Floyd.
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Mm-hmm. Is that Lady Gaga?
I don't know.
Queen.
Queen, of course.
Mm-hmm. Queen.
Understanding that 3 different generations could see and recognize these album covers and know them just from seeing a couple of pictures and colors and elements of art really shows the impact that these album covers have on society.
I think in the album, the cover is the first thing that you're looking at, and if you know the songs and you're thinking about buying it, once you see it and you see the album cover, I think that seals the deal. And I think it's a combination of the two, the music and the artwork. And growing up in the 70s and the 80s, people bought the album just for the artwork on the inside. And it'd be photographs, which is, that's the art, that's one type of art, and the drawings and the graphic would be something else.
Well, I think it still, takes the same type of design process and creativity, but I think it's not as visible. You know, where in the olden days, so to speak, I mean, albums were, you know, a big thing that you could hold in your hand, and you'd look at them, and, you know, you'd have to take the album out of the cover. Sometimes they would have all the lyrics on there, so you'd be using it and holding it and interacting with it.
From researching and studying about art, I do believe that album covers count as art. From the elements they use, to the recognition they get, to the impact they have on culture, album covers and art belong together.